But today, was this today? This morning, Donald Trump had an answer for that, too. I think it's fake news, but if he did that, I guess we'll have to compare IQ tests, and I can tell you who is going to win.
They say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person.
Picture this. You walk into a conversation feeling unstoppable, like you already handed yourself the trophy before anyone even spoke. Then out of nowhere, one single question flips the entire vibe and turns it into a live mental pressure test right in front of everybody. That is exactly what went down when Stephen Colbert decided to poke at Donald Trump's favorite self-given title. But here's the part nobody expected. What if the smartest play in the room was not giving an answer at all? And what happens when someone's confidence crashes headfirst into a question they cannot twist, control, or escape?
Say Donald Trump has proven himself surprisingly limber for a man with those cankles. Because in just the last 24 hours alone, he's achieved 2 new lows. First, you know how Donald Trump has always sued every...
He makes sure to stress that these tests are not easy either, framing the whole thing like he just crossed a finish line and is already celebrating before anyone even asks what the score was. And it is not just information he is sharing, it is a performance, carefully delivered in a way that sends one clear message. His intelligence is not up for debate. It is supposed to be accepted and admired.
Knowing began last night. You'll remember Trump had threatened to kill a 5,000-year-old civilization at 8 p.m. Eastern, but a little more than 1 hour before that deadline, Trump agreed to a 2-week ceasefire with Iran.
Before we jump into the chaos, hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, you do not want to miss where this goes. It all starts with a claim so bold, it almost feels like the words came out before the brain even finished forming the thought. Trump steps up in front of the cameras and does what he always does best, turning something simple into a full-blown show, proudly announcing that he has taken cognitive tests like it is some kind of headline achievement.
Trump, at 9 o'clock, gave a national primetime address. It was concise, intelligent, and brought the nation together with shared purpose.
Then, almost like he's tossing it out casually, he throws down a challenge, basically suggesting that if someone else took the same test, they could compare results. And he says it with a level of certainty that feels less like curiosity and more like someone who already believes the ending is written.
Well, some of those claims are against the Department of Justice, who, during the Biden administration and before, made the fatal mistake of doing their jobs. And his claims, he got a bunch of claims. Some of his claims are over investigations into his Russia ties.
It is the kind of move meant to shut down the conversation before it even starts, because the confidence itself is supposed to carry all the weight. But this is where things take a turn that nobody in that room, including Trump, fully saw coming. Because when Stephen Colbert steps into the situation, he does not try to match loudness with loudness or ego with ego. Instead, he does something way more dangerous to a performance built on swagger. He slows everything down. He lets the silence hang for a second. And in that pause, the entire foundation of Trump's claim starts to shake. Trump's whole style has always been built on momentum, stacking confidence on top of confidence until repetition starts sounding like proof. And eventually, people either believe it or stop questioning it. That whole very stable genius label was never meant to be discussed. It was meant to be repeated until it felt real.
Finally, the war was over for a bit. Realizing John Lennon's dream.
All we are saying is peace for 2 weeks.
But Colbert sees right through it instantly. He understands this is not really about intelligence in any measurable way. It is about controlling the story. It is about setting up a situation where the outcome feels decided before the test even happens. So instead of playing along and accepting the challenge like it is fair, Colbert shifts the entire ground underneath it. He drops one question that sounds simple at first, but carries enough weight to completely change the rules. And the question is not whether Trump can take a test. It is not whether he can score well. It is not even whether Trump believes he is smart. The real question is whether he can accept a result he does not control. And suddenly the whole moment stops being about IQ and turns into something way more uncomfortable. Because confidence is easy when you are also the referee. It is easy to call yourself the winner when you are the one holding the scoreboard.
And the seizure of hundreds of classified documents from Mar-a-Lago's highly secure guest bathroom. Okay, he didn't like that. He got really mad, so okay. Now, of course, after he became president, all the cases against...
Because sure, it is easy to celebrate a test when you already decided what passing means. But the second you remove that control, the whole dynamic shifts. Trump's public image has always been built on self-approval. He does not wait for validation. He creates it. He does not ask for recognition. He announces it. And then he dares anyone to challenge him, knowing the sheer force of the claim can drown out the need for proof. But Colbert's question quietly tears apart that entire system. Because now it is not about intelligence as a catchy label, it is about intelligence as something that can actually be questioned, measured, and most importantly, accepted, even if it does not match the story someone wants to tell. And that is where the tension really starts building.
Well, Trump gave he gave a speech tonight on the first night of Passover. So whether you're Jewish or not, I recommend having had 4 glasses of wine.
Because accepting a flattering result is not impressive. Anyone can do that. The real test is whether someone can handle an outcome that clashes with their narrative without instantly attacking the process, the people behind it, or the test itself. And this is where that whole genius image starts feeling less like a fact and more like a carefully protected brand. Almost like the label is not supposed to be questioned at all. Colbert does not even need to attack it directly. He just lets the idea sit there long enough for the audience to catch up, to see the loop in the logic, to realize this is not about truth, it is about maintaining an image. And that is when the laughter shifts, because it stops being simple reaction and turns into recognition.
Trump announced the deal on social media, calling it a double-sided ceasefire. Okay, that is cool, but aren't all peace deals double-sided? I believe there's a word for a single-sided ceasefire, and it's murder.
People are no longer laughing at a joke. They are laughing because they suddenly understand what is really happening. The conversation has quietly moved from intelligence to something way more revealing. The desperate need to be seen as intelligent, no matter what. Because real intelligence does not need constant announcements. It does not need to be declared in every room. It does not rely on repetition to stay believable. It shows up in judgment, in choices, in the ability to learn and adapt, and maybe most importantly, in the willingness to admit you could be wrong. And people know that intelligence is not just about having information. It is about how you use it. It is about patience, restraint, and being able to handle complexity without turning everything into a simple win or lose scoreboard. And in that moment, the idea of an IQ test starts feeling almost pointless.
And wants his money, don't make him put his rings on. Specifically, Trump wants the DOJ to pay him $230 million.
Because the real test is happening right there, in real time, in how Trump reacts to being challenged in a way he did not plan for. Every possible response gives away something. If he brushes it off, it looks like avoidance. If he jokes it away, it looks like discomfort. If he insists he wins no matter what, it reveals the score was never the point to begin with. And that is the deeper issue, because this was never really about intelligence. It was always about control. Trump wanted dominance. He wanted a moment that locked in his image as unquestionably superior, turning a simple claim into a final statement. But what he got instead was basically a mirror, a moment that forced the audience to look beyond the surface and question not just what he said, but why he needed to say it at all. And suddenly, people could see the difference between confidence that comes from within and confidence that survives only through constant validation.
It's been all over the map when it comes to Iran. First, he said he wouldn't leave. until the Strait of Hormuz is open. Yesterday, he said he doesn't care about the Strait of Hormuz. And this morning, he said unless Iran opens the Strait of Hormuz, he'd bomb them into the Stone Age.
And once that shift happens, you cannot undo it. The room feels different. The energy changes. The audience stops reacting to the performance the same way because now they are not just hearing the words, they are thinking about them. They are not just watching the moment, they are dissecting it. By the time the exchange reaches the end, the original challenge almost feels like a distraction. The IQ test, which was supposed to be the big centerpiece, fades into the background, replaced by something much more interesting. The real test was never written on paper. It was written in the reaction, in the little flashes of defensiveness that show up when control starts slipping, in the quick pivots to regain footing, in the subtle tension that leaks out when a narrative gets challenged in a way that cannot be brushed aside.
Trump explained that he agreed to the ceasefire because, quote, "We have already met and exceeded all military objectives." It's true. This war reached all of its objectives. It's been weeks since anyone mentioned the Epstein.
And that is why the moment spreads everywhere. Not because of a score, not because of a clean answer, but because it captures something people recognize instantly. The difference between looking smart and actually being smart. It stops being about who has the higher IQ and becomes about who is willing to deal with reality as it is. And in a world where confidence gets mistaken for competence every single day, that difference matters more than ever. Because at the end of the day, anyone can call themselves a genius. The harder thing, the thing you cannot fake or speak into existence, is proving it when the outcome is not guaranteed, when the rules are not stacked in your favor, and when the only thing that matters is how you act the moment the spotlight stops feeling safe. That is the test nobody can train for.
Today, Trump reversed some Obama-era rules by signing a bill allowing schools to offer whole and 2%. And this is great news for the many Americans who have been demanding this change.
And that is exactly the kind of test people never forget. And honestly, that is where the story refuses to end. Because once that illusion cracks, even just a little, everything that comes after starts hitting differently. What makes this moment so quietly explosive is not that it reveals something brand new about Trump, it is that it confirms something people have suspected for a long time, but never saw captured so clearly in one exchange. It is the realization that the entire performance depends on one key condition. The stage has to stay under his control. The second that grip loosens even slightly, the whole rhythm shifts. Because Trump's style works best when speed outruns scrutiny.
And this Saturday's dinner will be historic because this, for the first time as president, Donald Trump is attending. And reportedly, in his remarks, he's planning to attack the press and target publications.
He moves fast, stacks claim after claim, redirects attention, and builds a kind of verbal momentum that makes it hard for any single point to sit still long enough to be examined. It is like watching a magician who never lets you stare at one hand too long, because the trick depends on constant movement. But what Colbert did in that moment was the total opposite of movement. He slowed everything down so much that the trick could not hide inside the chaos anymore. And once that happens, something really interesting starts unfolding. The audience starts asking a different question. Not, is he right? But why does he need to be right like this?
Flip-flopping is just part of his plan, according to an unnamed member of his administration who said, "This isn't 3D chess, it's 12-dimensional." He contradicts himself regularly, so nobody knows what he's thinking.
And that might sound like a small shift, but it changes everything. Because now the focus is no longer on the claim itself, it is on the reason behind it. Why push the intelligence angle so hard? Why keep circling back to it? Why treat it like something that has to be proven publicly, loudly, over and over again? And this is where the story gets deeper, in a way that almost feels ironic. Because the louder the claim gets, the more attention it attracts. The more it is repeated, the more people start examining it. And the more it is defended, the more it starts looking like something that needs defending in the first place. It becomes a loop, a self-feeding cycle, where proving intelligence starts becoming more important than actually demonstrating it.
At today's signing, Trump made it clear that when it comes to milk, just like his skull, he's 100% full fat.
With this legislation, schools will finally be able to expand their offerings to include nutritious whole milk.
And this is not even just a politics thing. People see this in everyday life, too. The person who constantly reminds everyone how smart they are usually ends up raising the exact question they are trying to bury. Because real confidence moves differently. It does not sprint to announce itself. It does not demand applause every 5 seconds. It shows up through decisions, through consistency, through handling complicated situations without turning them into simple storylines. And most importantly, it shows up in how someone reacts when they get challenged. That part cannot be fully controlled by speeches, branding, or reputation. Colbert understood that instinctively. He did not try to outshout Trump. He did not try to out-argue him. He simply dropped one idea into the middle of the moment and let it grow.
No, all you reporters are enemies of the people. I hate you all. And if you call me, I will pick up every time.
Can you accept a result you do not control? It sounds simple, but the longer you sit with it, the deeper it cuts. And suddenly the audience is not just watching a clip, they are recognizing a pattern. They start connecting this moment to a long history of similar situations where victories are embraced proudly, but losses get blamed on everyone else. Where success is claimed fully and failure is always outsourced. Where the narrative keeps shifting just to protect the image. And once people see that pattern, it is almost impossible to unsee it. That is why the clip hits harder than the situation itself. It is not just about an IQ test. It is about something bigger, accountability.
The legal definition, whole milk, and it's whole with a W for those of you that have a problem.
Yes. Yes. Very important.
It is about whether someone with influence can face truth, even when that truth is inconvenient. It is about whether confidence can exist without non-stop validation. It is about whether leadership is built on controlling everything or adapting when things change. And this is where the humor, the tension, and the irony all blend together in a way that almost feels like a movie scene. Because what starts as a confident challenge ends up turning into an accidental reveal. The attempt to dominate becomes an invitation to examine. The person trying to set the terms ends up being shaped by the moment instead. And the craziest part is that it happens without some dramatic confrontation.
The word is, after he rips the press corps a new one, Trump is going to immediately leave, so he will miss the annual presentation of the press awards. I'm not going to understand why he's going to dip, because one of these awards, and this is true,
there is no screaming match, there's no big explosive takedown. There is just one question, placed carefully, left there long enough to breathe, long enough to do its damage. And that is why it works so well, because it does not force the audience into a conclusion. It lets them connect the dots on their own. It trusts them to notice the shift, to understand what is being implied, and to see the difference between what is being said out loud and what is being revealed underneath. And it leaves a bigger question hanging in the air. What does intelligence even mean in a world where confidence can be performed so convincingly? Is it dominating a conversation? Is it controlling the narrative? Or is it something quieter, something less obvious, something that shows itself not in moments of certainty, but in moments of uncertainty? That is the question that sticks long after the clip ends.
Make that distinction, okay, to avoid copyright infringement, because whole milk, without the W, pretty sure is the plot of Heated Rivalry.
And that is exactly why people keep replaying it, sharing it, and arguing about it. Because under the jokes and the satire, there is a deeper curiosity that will not go away. And once that curiosity grabs you, you cannot unsee it. Suddenly, every bold claim feels like it deserves a second look. Every loud statement creates a silent question. And every attempt to control the outcome becomes an opportunity to see what happens when that control gets challenged. That is the real legacy of the moment. Not the joke itself, not even the exchange, but the shift in perspective it creates. And once you notice it, you start spotting it everywhere.